Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So today we are going to be talking about a hot topic that's been going on right now. I'm sure most of you have seen it in the news and YouTube videos, and that is going to be the changes to the United States military draft system, automatically registering young men for the draft. So pucker your fucking butts, Gen Z. You're about to go fight in the trenches of Ukraine. So we'll talk about three things today, and for those of you who may be new to the channel and are wondering what the hell does this guy know about anything, I'm a retired Green Beret, did over 10 years in Army Special Forces, a lot of combat, a lot of war, so I understand what this draft system is really for, okay? So three things we're going to talk about: the changes to the draft system and my opinions on the draft in general, and a lot of talk recently about women being forced to register for the draft. And then conscription, okay, which is a system a lot of countries use, basically require their civilians when they turn 18 to join the military for a few years, okay? So I'll give my perspective on each of these, right? So let's get into the first one, changes to the draft, okay? So for those of you who didn't know, the way the system used to work, or at the moment works, when men turn 18, they are legally required to register for selective service, the draft. Okay, well, how's this going to change due to the bill in the House? It's just passed. It needs to move on to the Senate still. It will automatically register you for the draft when you turn 18. Okay, so what changes? Really nothing. Okay, you were legally required to do it anyway. Let's say a huge war did kick off and the draft was enacted. Even if you didn't register for the draft, they would still just draft you, and you would still just go to war or go to prison. Okay, so a lot of people freaking out for no reason because it's not actually going to change anything. But then why are we talking about this, right? Why is this something that's going in the House, through the House or Congress? Well, because where we're at right now in the military with retention and recruitment, it is starting to look like we may have to force people to join the military to meet our national defense readiness standards, okay? Not a great situation to be in, right? So let's talk about a draft in general and my opinion on it. Okay, so we do have, knowledge about how well a draft works because America's actually used it multiple times. We used it in Vietnam, didn't work very well. We used it in World War II, worked a little bit better, but that was a different time, different generation, right? So today, what do I think about a draft? Okay, whereas someone who actually has fought these wars and been in combat and been in actual serious situations like near ambushes, didn't get these Valor Awards for nothing. I can tell you, you cannot force people to fight, okay? You just can't do it, right? And this generation especially is not equipped for being forced to fight a war, okay? Do you think these people are ready to go fight in the trenches of Ukraine? Probably not going to go very well, okay? So anyone who's been in combat over the last 20 years, not just soft like me, but infantry, Marines, have all seen the people that curl up into a little ball and basically just wait to die, okay? War is not for everybody. Combat is not for everybody. It's not for most people. 9 out of 10 people could not handle being in combat, okay? Even the people some of the toughest guys you'll see are the ones the first to basically just curl up in the ball and wait to die, okay? So that is why, and we saw it in Vietnam, right? That was the big, all these kids that had wanted nothing to do with the war, forced into the jungle. Bad situation, okay? The other really nasty part about if you need a draft, it's because a huge war has broken out. What does that mean? You need people immediately. So what do? We take these kids fresh off the street, give them 8 weeks of training and basic training, and immediately send them into war, okay, with basically no training. Really, really bad system, okay? That's what Russia's doing. It's what Ukraine's doing. It's not great, okay? Again, you need soldiers, not children who don't know what they're doing at the end of the day, all right? So now, who are we actually going to be recruiting through the draft, okay? Again, so Gritty Soldier's got a really good clip about this that we're going to go ahead and watch because I think that he's got one of the better videos on it. So watch this.
And this has led to a lot of reasons for why the younger generation of Americans don't want to join the military. And a lot of times it doesn't even matter if they want to join or not. A lot of times they're just not qualified for service, whether it either be physical conditions or they are just not passing the ASVAB, which is the intellectual testing that you have to pass in order to get into the military. Which is crazy to think about because when I first joined the military, granted this was during Operation Enduring Freedom, I was a pack-a-day smoker, didn't have my high school diploma, and I don't think I've ever run more than a mile at that time. But hey, we got it all figured out. There was a lot of waivers at that time, but today it's a lot more stringent if you're looking to join the military.
All right, so I'll put the link in the description of that video. I think it's one of the better, or probably one of the best videos out on this topic. But he's absolutely right. The biggest problem we have with retention right now is that like almost 80% of Gen Z can't even qualify to join the military. They're not smart enough. They're not fit enough. You know, and for everybody who thinks, oh, military's for dumb people, like, yeah, well, 8 out of 10 people in society aren't even equipped to join the military, right? So it's kind of wild when you think about that. Again, I don't foresee the draft being a way to fix this problem, okay? Drafting a bunch of kids who don't want to be there is not going to do anything for us, right? So let's move on to the next big topic, and that is, should women have to be drafted, okay? You know, it's super interesting that in the last 4 or 5 years, through all this woke feminist movement where women can do anything men can do, the second this has hit the table that women are now going to be drafted and forced to go to war as well, the left all of a sudden knows exactly what a woman is, which is wild, right? So, you know, if DEI and equality is what you want in the C-suite, then you should also want it in the trenches as well. But it doesn't seem like they want that. Interesting how that works, right? So what's my opinion on that? Okay, well, here's the thing. We have plenty of women in the military. They serve in all sorts of different capacities. So should they be able to be drafted? I don't see why not in that sense, okay? Now, I am someone who does not believe women need to be in combat for a bunch of different reasons, right? But the U.S. Army and the U.S. military has decided women should be able to be Green Berets. So if a woman can become a Green Beret and go fight in a war, by those standards, every single woman at 18 should have to also register for selective service, because we as a society have said women and men are exactly the same, okay? Why not then? Me? Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. Why? Well, one, I don't think anybody should be drafted. I don't think the draft system works to begin with. I think you need to change society in a way that actually encourages people to join the military, right? Better pay, better culture. There's 1,000 different things we could change to incentivize people to join, rather than trying to force them in at the last minute. But also, I'm a traditionalist, right? I don't believe men and women are the same, even if the left wants to tell you that they are. So I don't think it's going to work. I don't think women should have to. I also don't think it works for men either, right? So moving on with that, okay? Conscription, okay? Conscription's a really interesting one. So, you know, I'm obviously against the draft, which is sort of force-feeding people in an immediate chaotic time to go straight to war. Conscription is more of, again, you automatically have to do 1 to 2 years, and everyone has to do it, whether we're in war, whether we're in peace. And I actually think it works really well for a lot of countries for a bunch of different reasons, okay? Joining the military does is it's going to instill mental discipline. It's going to give you purpose. It's going to build patriotism in you, okay? And those are probably the 3 things that I think this generation that's upcoming is missing the most, okay? They can't figure out their identity, who they want to be. They have no purpose. And you can see there's a heavy lack of discipline, right? They don't want to work. I don't think necessarily that conscription would be that bad of a system. And I think it would be very beneficial to young people to have to do it. However, America is a massive country with 400 million people. You know, bringing in millions of people a year conscripted into the military doesn't actually make a lot of sense either. I don't think we could really handle it. But it may be something that, you know, in the near future, the United States decides that it's going to do, because again, retention and recruitment are so bad, okay? And again, they're bad for a lot of different reasons, but I think the biggest ones are ones we could potentially fix, right? For comparison, right? So we're talking about how recruitment and retention is so bad, and there was just a bill to significantly increase the pay of lower enlisted soldiers, and immediately got shot down. It's like it's like we can't figure out, like, why won't anybody join the military? And it's like, I wonder why. The pay is terrible. Up to an E6 in the Army is on food stamps, right? And yes, this generation is looking at this last 20-year war and looking at guys like me with PTSD and bodies destroyed, you know, and I can understand from their perspective of, like, why would I want to join that? So if we're not going to incentivize the next generation to join the military, I can guarantee you we sure as shit ain't going to force them to fight wars either, because they ain't got no business on the battlefield. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for me, right? Again, that's just my opinion. If you don't like it, that's fine. You can talk about it in the comment section. Yeah, also, you know, like, comment, subscribe. Really helps the videos, helps the algorithm. Channel's growing fast. I appreciate all the support. And yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Have a good day, everybody.